Hello, and welcome back to the Cooper Villa channel. I'm Scott Cooper, and I'm here with Noah Fisher, and we are here to discuss Aston Villa versus Cardiff City from the fifth round of the FA Cup back on Friday night. And we will also be touching on the debacle that was the Premier League match on Tuesday away at Crystal Palace. But, we got games coming thick and fast. We're in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, and we've got a massive week coming ahead with Club Brugge away in the Champions League and Brentford as well. So we will be getting to all of that and much more after this. And welcome back to Cooper Villa Live for another week. Me and Noah are here, and we're here to discuss, of course, the game against Cardiff. Noah, good to see you as always, mate. Look, and these games are just coming thick and fast. There's so much to talk about. We will start with the Cardiff game, but before we get to that, I just wanted to say, please like and subscribe if you haven't. Put a like on the video. That'd be great. Tell your friends about it. We got plenty of videos coming up soon. So get involved in the live chats, hit the notification bell, and you will know when we are going live every single video. So thanks again for all your support. And I guess, Noah, the big question I've been asking myself after the last week is sort of how can we go from like that second half against Chelsea, the last time we did a pod, how well we played in that game, to come from behind to win the game against, a top side like Chelsea, to what happened with Palace, and then this game where we look really solid at the back. And I know, yes, it was Cardiff, they're a championship side, but the consistency of our inconsistency has just been there for everyone to see all season.
It's a weird one, Scott, but I'm going to put a couple of words towards you. FA Cup quarterfinalists, 6 points off third, and about to start our Champions League knockout journey. Yet this season feels like a disaster.
I know when you say like that, it's not a disaster. Obviously, we are still in a good position. We're still, we could still have a good season out of this. But I do look at other things like, there's only one goalkeeper that's let in more goals or had least clean sheets than Emi Martinez, and that's Aaron Ramsdale for Southampton. I look at the 3 clean sheets all season, against Everton, against Southampton, and against Manchester United. I look at things like, the amounts of times, teams score on us, with their first shot. Happened again at Palace. But, I think this game we looked probably the most controlled we've looked in a while. We didn't give Cardiff many opportunities at all. We had lots of possession like we normally do at home. But I think the difference in this game was we had the match winners, the difference makers in from the start. And Marco Asensio, Marcus Rashford had very good games. Obviously, Asensio, 4 goals now, another brace for him. Fantastic. He took his goals really well. And, I think these guys are going to have to start these big games that are coming around the corner.
And there's a lot of football to be played, Scott. And look, defensively all year we know we've had issues and whatnot. We haven't been able to quite hit the nail on the head with what's been going on, but you can blame the change of back four all you like. But from where we've come from with defensively when we first got Emery in the system, it's a weird sort of transition. It was so hard to score against and whatnot, and we can't get through a low block at times. Cardiff obviously going to sit sit deep against us in the FA Cup, and we had a lot of the ball, but we really didn't know what to do for long periods of time. And I think teams are learning how to play against the Emery way. We're no longer playing that high line when we caught teams out, and it's sort of a not a hit and miss season, but sort of a weird one. Like we, tactically at Palace was a weird sort of a game. I know we'll touch on it probably a little bit later, but I thought we got Cardiff spot on. We knew they were probably going to sit deep and they want to hit us on the counter. They almost hit us on the counter actually with that headed chance in the second half. It was a good save from Martinez, but when you have quality on the pitch, the quality normally shines through, and it's pretty good to be a quarterfinalist of a competition, and it's one more win off a great trip to Wembley.
That's right. And I mean, one of the big criticisms Emery had maybe going into this season was the cup form. Like we'd done well in the league. We'd made Champions League. We'd, got Conference League the year before coming from the relegation. And, we had this really good record at home and everything was looking pretty good in the league. But then we had disappointing cup exits, to the likes of Stevenage and, Crystal Palace in the League Cup earlier on this season was another disappointing one. And, I think it's good that he's got a cup run under his belt now. I mean, we can at least say, he takes the cup seriously because he certainly did with this lineup. You could see, this was an important game. But, there's lots of good performances, I think, to touch on in this game, and a few that might bring up some solutions in the games ahead, because Lamar Bogard was one that I wanted to really bring up because he slotting in a centre back for Disasi, who's cup tied and couldn't play in this match. Thought he had a great game. He looks so much more comfortable in a more central position, if it's at the back or in that defensive midfield role, which is probably his number one position. But he looks so much more comfortable when he's in there, and he's got players around him that can kind of dictate him. He played a lot at right back at the start of the season and got exposed in a lot of those games and looked a little bit out of his depth or uncomfortable, out there by himself, with quick wingers and people getting in behind him and this sort of thing. So, but, being in the middle, I thought he had a great game in this game. I thought he's good on the ball, really good on the ball. So that suits the Emery way. And I wouldn't be against him playing some more games in there, just to give the likes of Disasi or Konsa a rest. If considering how sort of stretched we are in that position, I thought, this was a really good performance from him.
He's one that's sort of flown under the radar. He's been on our books for a few years now, a couple of loan spells here and there. And it's another one of those youngsters we didn't think quite had enough in them, if you know what I mean. Like, didn't quite break through like Jacob Ramsey did, a couple of years ago when we probably needed someone to. And I mean, he's got interest from Sevilla and stuff now, and it's big interest for a player like him. We've got to tie him down a long-term deal, and he's had some great players to learn from. I mean, he's got an unbelievable midfield now. Kamara, Tielemans, McGinn. Like, we've got such a deep midfield, and that's only going to make him a better player. Plays at right back, plays centre back, plays CDM. Put him up front, and I reckon he'll do a job for us as well.
Well, we've seen some interesting things this season, but I think that would be quite out of the box from Emery if he did that one. But look, another guy who has come in the January transfer break and is really impressing, and I'm starting to think he should have been part of that Champions League squad. He was my man of the match until Asensio got the 2 goals, and that was Andreas Garcia. I think he looks so comfortable on that right-hand side. For me, he is number one right back now. Like, I know Matty Cash has been a great servant and had an amazing sort of, time at Villa and has played under numerous managers and, always gives 100% and all that. And, but I just think Garcia going forward has the lot. He's fast, he's dynamic, he's got a bit of skill, he picks good options, good decision maker, and he, because of his pace, he reads the play well. He can get us out of some tough defensive issues as well with his pace, his covering, and it's really, we've always had that sort of lopsided defense where we were stacked on the left back, and right back was always a little bit of a question. But I think this is another gem for Emery, and he's just stepped up, considering he was playing the Liga, second La Liga, the second tier in Spain, Levante, to come in and to hit the ground running like he has done. What a player!
Yeah, this is probably what we're hoping from Nedlikovic, weren't we? Someone that we didn't quite know to come in and hit the ground running like this, and he's by far our number one right back, in my opinion. The way he takes the game on, as you mentioned, he's not afraid to take the risky pass. And unfortunately, against Liverpool, he took that risky pass and didn't quite pay off. But you got to be willing to take those passes. He's only a young guy. Like, was he 20? Like, he's going to learn. Again, he's got great players around him that have won World Cups, like Luka Dean and Emi Martinez, and a lot of international experience. And if Emery's going to trust you, as you said, like Nedlikovic never got on the pitch. So if Emery's trusting this guy to start big games for us, do I wish he was in our Champions League squad? I do now. Obviously, when you sign him, you don't know too much about him, and you're going, we need Disasi in there, we need Rashford in the centre, which is true. It's just the luck of the draw, unfortunately, with how we can't have too many people in the squad. But he's an absolute superstar. Can't wait to see him playing going forward, and he's going to be a big one come the end of the season. I'm expecting a few goal involvements.
Yes, absolutely. And I think he could probably, get a few goals himself once he gets up and running and gets, gets his confidence, gets maybe one goal under his belt. I think he could be a real havoc down that right-hand side. And, we've always been a team that sort of favoured the left-hand side in terms of attacking. Luka Digne always got more forward than, Cash or Konsa or whoever played right back, But I think that sort of like halted maybe our creativity at times, especially against teams that like to sit back and put 10, 11 men behind the ball. So if we have that kind of ability to switch it up and switch the play and get Garcia running in behind, just like Digne or Maatsen does on the other side, I think that could really help us. And I think he's just been really good. I mean, apart from that mistake against Liverpool, I don't think he's put a foot wrong, really. And good to see that. Another good thing to see, we didn't actually see him on the pitch, but Boubacar Kamara back on the bench.
Massive.
Huge.
Massive.
Like, I actually thought it might be 2 or 3 extra weeks, like, for him when he did his hamstring. So great to see him back because, again, I think the likes of Tielemans and McGinn have been worked pretty hard over the last few weeks. They played every game. They're great players, but I think in certain games we need a Kamara, we need an Onana, we need that kind of more physical presence in there than maybe like McGinn or Tielemans is, And I think, especially if we have to play a PSG or a Liverpool, let's say in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, if we get past Bruges, fingers crossed, well, it's going to be tough. So we're going to need everyone in that midfield, closing down, working hard, winning every second ball they can. And that's something against maybe Palace that I think wasn't there. Palace were just way more up for that game in the midfield. It became a physical battle, a tight pitch at Sellers Park, and Adam Wharton and Will Hughes and these guys for Palace in the middle of midfield just absolutely bullied us, to be fair, especially in that second half where it got a bit ugly, to be honest. Let's talk about Asensio. 2 great finishes on his left peg. The guy is a very different player to Morgan Rogers, who was obviously rested, and I'm glad he was rested because he's another one like Tielemans that hasn't had a rest all season. But he brings something a bit different to that number 10 role. And, if he can keep the goal scoring going, I think he's really going to enjoy his time at Villa. And I think Emery is really giving him the sort of confidence and the responsibility to say, look, we got this kid called Morgan Rogers, who's like one of the best players this season. And I'm going to start putting you in for him, from time to time in a similar position. I need you to be doing the same sort of numbers as him. And he's lifted to that sort of pressure and he started just like a house on fire.
I mean, he's quality. He's a world-class player, Champions League winner. I still don't quite believe we have on the books. It's like a dream, like a FIFA career mode. sort of January transfer window for Aston Villa. Like, it really is. Marcus Rashford, Asensio, Daniel Marlin. It's still pinch myself sort of stuff, seeing him wear the claret and blue. And he's got a good link up with the other Marcus, I guess, at the club as well. So it's good. They love, 3 out of his 4 goals have been assisted from Rashford. So it's a weird
I'm not sure Rashford meant this one. But,
no, he didn't.
It sort of came off the KCL. But
the class for Asensio to be able to read the game like that and position yourself. That's the hardest thing about football, isn't it? Like, you got to know where you got to be. You got to know where the ball's going to go, and you got to fold into the goal. And
that first goal was such a cultured finish. Like, it was pass it into the corner. It was controlled. He got over the top of the ball. There was never any doubt. And the keeper for Cardiff had a really good game up until that point. Made 2 or 3 great saves. A couple from Ollie Watkins that I think Ollie could probably wish he had back, because they were very good chances. One from Marcus Rashford as well. That was a very, very good save. You're starting to think at that point, 0-0, an hour in, you're like, oof, all they need is one chance and we're out of the cup, to get that goal when he did just calmed everything down. He got the second one. We got to make the changes and get the likes of Watkins and Rashford and Asensio off the field to rest them up for Tuesday night, which is going to be massive. But look, I thought it was a great atmosphere. I thought, sometimes maybe like a Cardiff, 5th round of the cup might not bring a full, stadium. We've had a few disappointing results, that sort of thing. But, Villa Park was in a good spirits. The Cardiff fans, made a lot of noise as well.
6,500 of them.
And that's a long trip.
6,500, crazy. So the whole top of the north stand, and then their normal spot, 6,500. Fair play. It's not a close trip. Like, it's for a Friday night. You got to respect it, and that's what I love about this sport is, like, fans will just get on a coach and just go for hours and hours to watch their favorite football club, and it is what makes it such a special sport.
Absolutely, and we haven't played Cardiff for a very long time, and we'd never played them. Or we hadn't played them for like 100 years in the FA Cup or something like that. Like, it's just little stats like that just make you, kind of pinch yourself as to like how big this club is and how sort of, how big Villa is and how big the game is in this country. It's just like, and the FA Cup still means a lot to me. I know a lot of people, maybe if you support a Big 6 club, which I don't believe in that term anymore because it's more like a Big 8, Big 9. That you might play weakened teams in the FA Cup, but we're in a position where we've got an absolute great chance to make the final or better, and we need to be like going all guns blazing for this, because not only would it be a trophy and a huge moment, like maybe like my best moment as a Villa fan. Like, let's be honest, like I've only seen us win the League Cup a couple of times. You've never seen us win any trophy of
it's true.
I don't think the Peace Cup in 2005 counts, the preseason tournament. But
as much as I want it to count, I don't think it does.
No, but look, it would be absolutely massive, and I could just imagine the scenes. Can you imagine like if we played like a Newcastle in the final and both teams hadn't won a trophy for such a long time? How much of an occasion that would be. Like, and I mean, there's obviously some good teams left in Newcastle, Man City. There's Man United as well, but they're not really a good team right now. But I watched Bournemouth Wolves last night as well, and that was a crazy match. And Bournemouth are a very good side as well. And I think Nick put in the comments here, who are we getting in the next draw? And I think that is sort of my feelings too. I don't care who it is. If we draw them at home, I'm confident we can win. But a lot of these teams, if we drew them away from home, it could be a bit of a struggle. I mean, we saw what happened to Palace. They're still in the competition. They obviously beat Millwall.
By the way, what a shocking tackle by their keeper, by Millwall's keeper, on the note of that game.
It was shocking. I don't think he meant it.
Well, I don't care if he means it or not. Why is he going with his foot?
Well, he's trying to clear the ball, but
Oh,
yeah,
Scott,
it
you
was
cannot.
dangerous.
Damn,
No,
you
no, it
cannot
was a
go
red
like that.
card. It was a red card,
Oh,
but I don't think he tried to hurt him.
I thought it was so dumb. I've never seen anyone
Well, what should you
do
do?
that
Head
ever.
it?
I thought you go with the fist.
It was outside the box.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it just outside the box?
Yeah.
No, I don't think you would have kicked it anyway. It was that high?
No, it was like a crazy moment, and like I hope Mateta is okay. I heard he had 20 stitches or something. So
went off in a neck brace and stuff. Like it's just nasty stuff.
It was a terrible moment. But look, I guess the question is, who do you want in the next round of the Cup?
Anyone.
What would be your dream draw?
Well, a lot of people are saying Preston.
Preston at home would be pretty good, I think.
It'd be pretty good.
Who else said that? Yeah, Jeff said Preston at Villa Park, please.
I wouldn't mind the Bournemouth.
At home?
Yeah, get some revenge on for that late equaliser. Anyone, though. Anyone but Man City, I think. I even reckon we could beat Man City on our day. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as scared of them as maybe you would have been last year or the year before, but if we have to play a Man City, I'd probably rather it be in the final. I think a really big Wembley pitch, a big atmosphere, we could give them a good game or a good run for their money. And
we gave them a good run for our money in the last cup final we played them in. So 5 years ago, by the way, that Carabao Cup final.
I don't think we did go. I remember it was one-way traffic, and then
one-way traffic.
Samatta scored a goal, but
they scored from a corner that wasn't a corner.
I remember Phil Foden causing his absolute grief.
He got man of the match, but it's like
but
we were a dross team.
Yeah, we're far better now.
And almost scored in the last minute. So
we did. But I think I'd be much more confident now. And look, I'd probably actually fear Newcastle maybe more, especially if we drew them away from home. Obviously, we don't have a good record there. But all right, let's go back to Tuesday night, because I think there's a few things to say about this game, and I don't want to get too negative, too in the weeds, but I think Emery, this was one of his worst performances as a Villa manager. I think he obviously went to 5 at the back to match up with Crystal Palace. And I mean, from one point of view, I guess you can see the logic behind it, but considering we had hardly any centre backs as it was, to play with 3 of them, it's just I don't get it. And I also don't get the fact that he would drop Asensio and Rashford after that second half against Chelsea, and all the momentum and all the sort of we're back in it, we're back in the Champions League on. Like, that just seemed like the perfect moment just to say, all right, let's not change anything, and kind of from that second half and go for it, and at least, give ourselves, or kind of sort of feed on that emotion and that momentum from the previous game. And look, he didn't do that. He played Ramsey and Rodgers in those 2 wide positions, or was it Bailey? I think it was no. Bailey was the halftime sub. That's right, because we went back to the 4-4-2 at halftime, being 1-0 down. And I'm thinking, all right, make some subs. Bring on Rashford, bring on Sensio, and he brings on Bailey for Garcia, who actually I think was our best player in the first half, which was weird as well. I mean, you could have dropped Bogard and left it 4-4-2 with Garcia on the right, but he went with Bogard to right back, and it just became a huge mess. We got completely overrun in that second half, and when our players drop the ball and get a kick in the nuts or a punch in the face, it just seems to absolutely fall apart. And I felt pretty flat after that game.
Yeah, I was at work at the time. Obviously, it was 6:30 game, so I got to see the first half an hour, I think, of the game. But it was second half was appalling, wasn't it? Like, when you watch it back, and when it rains, it pours against Aston Villa, as you said, Scott. Like, that to get a scrappy goal back into it, like I wouldn't say it was a well worked goal, it was just a hoof ball down Watkins to Rogers, and you
It
get
was
back
a
on level
lovely
terms.
finish.
It was a great finish. But you get back on level terms at a hard place to go for us.
Yeah,
that should get you up and about. Then you concede a pretty crappy goal 7 minutes later.
Yeah,
and as soon as we conceded, I was like, we're done.
Yes.
Like we had to win that 2-1 or 3-1, but as soon as we went behind for the second time, I was like, no, we're not winning this game.
Absolutely. And it happens like immediately after the equaliser, pretty much. Maybe like 2 or 3 minutes later.
It was 7 minutes.
Yeah. And it just, at that point, you're pulling your hair out because you just know that we've been given a second life in this game.
Yeah.
And a point after all of that wouldn't have been the worst result as well. We had Robert Olsen on the field, none of the goals are his fault.
I feel bad for that bloke, because he has like the worst goals to minute ratio or something. But if you look at the games he's played in or when he's come on, he's played in some pretty tough games because there's not much good done about those goals.
No, but the defending for the second goal for Palace was awful. Firstly, Jacob Ramsey, I defended him on the last pod when Duncan was going in on him a bit in the chat. And he coughed that ball up in an absolutely critical place. It was terrible from him. We didn't need that at that point in the game. Just clear our field, put it out for a throw in. In these kind of games, in these tight pitches like Selhurst Park, sometimes you just have to put it in Rosehead and
100%.
set up again, because the worst thing we could do was lose the ball there. Tielemans and McGinn had gone forward. We had nobody where the drop of the ball, landed. And Mateta was just too strong, too fast, too clever. Good finish. And
Great finish,
we're done. We're just done at that point. There was 2 offside goals in this game. One was kind of controversial. A lot of talk online, was Ollie Watkins really offside? The camera angles are very hard to sort of tell. And I know we had automated offside in the FACup, and I just really hope that becomes a thing sooner rather than later in the Premier League. Because
when's it coming to the Prem? It can't be far away. It worked
keep
well
putting
in the
it
FA
off.
Cup.
It was supposed to be in February, and then they pushed it back and pushed it back.
It worked well.
Yeah, and I think it's instant, and we all and I don't know how they do it, but it knows exactly when the player kicks the ball. That's one of the big things about when they have to draw the lines. They have to sort of guess when the actual contact on the ball is made, and there will be a slight kind of human error there, at times.
Absolutely.
And Ollie's knee was, I guess, ahead of his sleeve. I don't know. I mean, I guess, it was a hard one to take because you just knew at that point things weren't going our way. It wasn't going to be our day. And And look, but let's let's look forward, because there isn't really much else to say about that game. I think Emery got outcoached. I think he's got to think about this in the next time. We got Brentford coming up in the league, but before that we got the big game against Club Brugge, and Roger poses the question that I want to pose to you. Who do we go with? This is a big match. We lost there, obviously. We lost there in the group stages away. They have a pretty good record at home in this competition so far. They've some big clubs have gone there, and they've matched it with most of them. Even games that they haven't won, they've played well. So this is going to be a tough one, and we want to come out with a positive result. So who would you start with?
It's going to be a weird one. I'm not sure if you're going to agree with it or not, but obviously Martinez in goal.
Yep.
I think we have to be defensively sound. I think Conser will go to right back, Disasi and Mings, and then Digne.
Okay.
Kamara, Tielemans, McGinn, Rogers, Watkins. Am I missing one spot? Is that everything?
I think you're missing one spot.
Rashford on the left. Yeah, Rashford on the left.
Interesting. I don't mind it. I think you might be very close to what he might do. He might go for that sort of extra body in midfield, like a McGinn,
Yeah,
and like play him off the left hand side. But
that's what
when we
I was thinking.
when we lose the ball, he comes or play him off the right hand side, and when we lose the ball, he comes back into the sort of middle and kind of give us an extra sort of body to win the ball. And we go to sort of like a two up front with Rashford and Watkins. Then when I could see something like that. But I mean, if we,
I just think I wouldn't put Matty Cash in for this game. That's right. I think we're going to be a little.
Well, he wasn't even on the bench against.
I think he's going to be back
Cardiff.
though. I do love Matty Cash. I'm not having a dig at Matty Cash. I do think like in some moments he's the player you need, but in a big game away from home, you want to be defensively sound and put Consa, who just knows how to do a job defensively there. Going forward's a different problem. I know he struggles going forward from right back, but we need to be defensively sound, and that's the most important thing.
Well, you see, personally, I would probably play Bogart over Mings.
A centre back? I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I don't mind that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we were going to go with that, and then, I mean, I don't know if Kamara's be fit, but if he is, put him in.
He's on the bench, so I think he'll be in.
Yeah, maybe give him an hour. I don't know, and then see what happens after that. But I like it. But obviously Morgan Rogers definitely play, right? You had Rogers in.
Yeah, Rogers in.
Yeah. So
it's a big one because I didn't have Asensio in, for example.
No, but I can see like in this particular game, like Asensio would be perfect for the second leg, right?
Yeah, at Villa Park. Yeah.
Yeah. But in this particular game where we don't really have to play all our cards straight away, like two-legged games.
A draw.
Emery is the master.
Villa's a win for me. If we get come away with a draw, we're well in front.
Even a narrow defeat is like not the end of the world. Like a 2-1 or a 1-0 defeat, there's no away goals anymore. So, it wasn't like in the olden days where if you lost 3-2 away, say, that was actually decent because now you win 1-0 at home or 2-1 at home. You're through.
100%.
Yeah. So
well, that's how Tottenham beat Ajax, wasn't it? When they got to the final.
Yeah,
they scored away goals, 2 or 3 away goals. There it was. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. So I would say, that's pretty good, and I would say, try and get a positive result. Obviously, a win would be fantastic, but if you can't win, get a draw. Be hard to beat. Be solid, and if that means we have to, play an extra body in midfield and go for more of a 4-4-2. Yeah,
we also need to remember as fans and as players and whatnot is after the first leg is only half time and there's no need to panic. Like if we concede an early goal, there's no need to panic. There is so much time. It's a 2-legged game, 180 minutes. Like Lille, for example, when they scored those 2 goals, like all we had to do was get another goal. Like there was no need for anyone to panic. There's so much time, and it works in our favor. So trust the process.
Exactly, and we've got the second leg at home, which is a huge advantage, right? So we've got to keep that at the back of our minds, and not get into the emotion. Their fans will be going mad, and like you said, if they do start bright and they do put us under pressure and get an early goal, we got to kind of keep our heads not unlike we did against, say, Palace, right?
Yeah.
And make sure we don't get battered 3-0 or something, because then we've got a mountain to climb. It's like the Olympiacos situation from last season where, we got beat 4-2 at home, and we've got an absolute mountain to climb in that second leg. So we need to sort of learn from that game, I think, and maybe not be as open as we were in that game last season.
We would have learned from that. Like all the players that were there, Emery again would have learned. You got to do things differently, and I think the biggest thing to say is, like as I said, just don't panic.
Yeah, Because look, they're going to be a bit nervous too. It's like this is kind of uncharted ground for them. No, a lot of their players haven't been in the later stages of Champions League, just like ours. So they're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna feel pressure. They're gonna find it tough when they come to Villa Park. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a cracker of a game. I think there's some really good games in this round of 16. We've got
it's gonna be unreal.
PSG, Liverpool, who will be our opponents if we were to win. We've got Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, Leverkusen versus Bayern Munich. So there's some really cool ties, and I am enjoying this new format. And I think it's created a few sort of fairy tales like us, like Bruges, like Lille. Like these sort of teams that have kind of come from maybe unfancy positions to finish in that top 8. And if anything could lift our season and turn our season around, it would be to go to Bruges, win 2-0, 3-1, something like that, right? And absolutely put a marker down to say, look, we're still a top team, and this is we're going as hard as we can for as long as we can in this competition, and we're not scared of anyone. So I really hope they do that, show a bit of personality. Some of our leaders, the likes of McGinn, Watkins, Emi Martinez, I'm expecting big games from those guys. The real sort of like core guys that have been there through the tough times, through the Steven Gerrard times, through the surviving on the last day times. These guys that have been there and maybe never imagined they'd be in this position. I think that goes for everyone. I think that should go for the fans too. They get angry on social media when we're not winning every game, when we're struggling here and there. The fans in the stadium, especially in that second leg, who might get a bit tense if things aren't going well. Just get behind the team. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and we've got to take it.
Yeah, it is. I'm expecting a big match from Marcus Rashford. Champions League experience. He did it when he was a young guy at Manchester United. I remember that game against PSG where he won it for him and whatnot. And I'm going to lead into this question from Roger because I already know Scott's answer. There's no point asking Scott this question. And Scott, you can't I pick Marcus Rashford. I do. Scott does not.
No, honestly, I'd probably pick Marcus Rashford too. I just think
I don't believe you. You have a
no. I mean, I would say why not both, right? That would be honestly. I would say why not both, but I mean, look, the Jack Grealish is a bit of a kind of like a romantic thing. If I was having my sort of head screwed on, coach head on, Marcus Rashford is for Emery's system the more effective player.
Yeah, that's fair. We've got to mention actually in the Cardiff game, Scott, how good was Ahmed El Ghazi seeing him back at Villa Park? He finally got that send off he deserved, and he went
absolutely. That was fantastic
and whatnot. It was really good. You don't hope an opposition player scores, but if we were to concede and Ahmed El Ghazi scored, we still won 2-1, let's say, I'd have been all for it.
Well, it would have been. I'm sure he wouldn't have celebrated. And
imagine he does a massive knee slide and shushes the whole tent or something.
I don't think he was doing that. He was very respectful. His kids came out with him. One had a Cardiff shirt, one had a Villa shirt. So that was lovely to see. And to see him talking with the likes of Ezri Konsa and John McGinn after the game, guys that he got promoted with. And well, Ezri Konsa wasn't in the team then, but they played with Ezri, obviously, in the Premier League. But it was just it was great to see him. I'm glad that
it was wholesome.
I'm glad that he's found himself a club that he's respected at. He's playing, because he had that really tough period when he was playing in Holland, and he put out some tweets that got him into some trouble, supporting the Gaza situation and him being a Muslim and this sort of thing. It was a lot of controversy over that, and some people criticize him for being anti-Semitic or whatever, but I think we all
Yeah.
know that he's a good guy, and he was, it's good to see him settled at Cardiff now.
100%.
And they were a pretty good side. I think they got some. I'm surprised they're as low as they are in the championship.
Yeah.
It just shows you kind of what a good standard the championship is.
It's a great standard these days. It really is.
Yeah, you look at Plymouth and what they've done, knocking out Brentford and Liverpool, and they obviously went ahead against City. I was like hoping they could,
just
go
imagine
knock
they
them out.
knocked them out.
Oh,
Just to imagine they knocked them out. That'd have been unbelievable. But that's how it goes. That's the love of the cup. Bit of cup fever.
Absolutely.
And we've got more cup fever. Champions League.
We have the Champions Cup, the biggest cup there is. Wow. Just to hear that song, Last 16, it's going to be so good. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm gutted I can't watch it again. It's 4:45, but I'll be watching the replay. So I'm not going to check any of the scores.
Yeah, just switch your phone off.
Watch the replay. No, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. So no one try to spoil it for me. That's what I'm going to say. I've got a few people that probably will. I reckon my boss at work probably spoiled for me, to be honest, and whatnot.
That's not cool. That's not
cool.
No,
he won't mean to. He won't mean to, but
right.
We always talk sport, so
fair enough. All right, well, I think that's about it for this week. Thanks again for joining us on Coupe de Villa Live. Make sure you like and subscribe. Always good to have you in the chat. And, I've got a long weekend coming up, so I've got Monday off. So it's been a pretty good weekend here in Perth. You got to go back to work tomorrow, no?
Yeah, I work tomorrow. We got a long weekend next weekend, so
next weekend's yours.
Yeah,
so you can give it back to me then. But look,
exactly
we got a massive week coming up. We'll be back next week.
After Bruges, we'll be here. We'll be here after Bruges.
Okay. We did say that after Palace, but
no, I promise. It's a promise.
Okay, it's a promise. All right. Well, we will see you after then. So until then, up the Villa and come on, the Champions League, European Villa. Let's do it.
Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.